find your seat. I hope everybody has a seat. If somebody doesn't have a chair, please just grab one and add to the back. Okay? So, hi. Welcome everybody. I'm happy that you came here today in this not so nice weather time. But anyway, we are going to have a quite interesting night. And before we start, of course, we have to say a big thanks to our sponsors that helped us to be here and to come to this event for free. To see all our lovely sponsors here. Meal, of course, the place that is here for us for free. Cube, Guarantee Signature, which is LGA that provides drinks and snacks, and Trinity and Riga High Tech University. My name is Liga. I'm one of the co-organizers of this event, and for my living I do some UX and UX research at Cube Systems. But what's going to happen today? So we have regular stuff, UI, UX news. And then we have Agnes Stiba, one of, how to say, the representative from academical field, but doesn't mean that it's going to be boring. I think even the opposite, right? Agnes is studying at Oulu University, the persuasive technologies, and we'll share a little bit of his doctor's research. And then after that, we'll have a little bit more practitioner side. So Janis Volbergs from Zoom Charts will tell about their interesting products. Mostly they work with data visualization, and which is actually quite challenging work to do. So I hope we'll also find out some secrets how to do it. And of course, traditionally, at the end of the event, we have announcements. Anybody looking for a job, anybody having a job to do, and all the other things. But for the first part, for UI UX news, I won't take a long time for this, but I have just questions. Do you know what this date is so special about? November 13th in this year. Anybody?
Is it Usability Day?
Yay! Bingo! It's World Usability Day. As we know that UX has kind of emerged from usability, so this day is kind of important for us. But it's not just a day in calendar. First of all, it's this day usually it's celebrated in the second week of November, the second Thursday of November, all over the world. And what does a lot of software companies at this particular week, like UX research software companies, wireframing software companies, they usually give off their products for quite huge discounts, like up to 50% discounts on product bundles. So check out the web for software that you're looking for. But also there is World Usability Day.org website where are a lot of events listed. So basically, all over the world on this particular day, people are organizing events, both online, offline, free, pay. So you just can go to this website, check out all the events that are there, and find your own. And if you want to organize a seminar, for instance, or just workshop for your clients, it's also a good day to do it. And on this website, you can just register your event and promote it here. So maybe there will be more events also in Latvia. And one event that I want to highlight particularly is World Usability Day in Tallinn. It's also happening on this second Thursday of November, already since 2008. And they're having one-day conference, which is for free. And then they have also workshops, not for free though, on the following day. So it's again it's a good website to check out the program. They have launched it just today, and today actually is a good day to find other people who like to go to Tallinn and to agree on sharing your car and sharing, for instance, the travel costs, right? So welcome to check out worldusabilityday.org. Welcome to check out the World Usability Day in Tallinn. And that's it for announcements, for news. I guess we could start with, no, not these announcements, with Agnes' presentation.
Good evening, Riga. As I was introduced, I've recently graduated. I've got this nice bunch of papers from the old university in Finland. The paper says that I'm a doctor of philosophy. Nevertheless, I've had 2 masters from Latvia, one computer science from University of Latvia and the Riga Business School, an MBA. So, and actually I'm rather industry person than the academic person. This was my first academic real experience the last 4 years in Finland. Before that, I worked in different positions in IT companies here in Latvia. To name a few, Hewlett-Packard, Oracle, Microlink, for many years. So, coming back to the main topic of today, what I've done over the 4 years, I studied a specific overlap of 2 areas. All right. So, information systems. I think you know what it is. So its main components are users, interfaces, information, interaction, and what I've studied on top of that, what we typically know already, which is information systems, is social influence. Those are 7 principles from social psychology. We will go into details about those in a couple of slides, but to name shortly, social learning, that's a principle that people learn new behaviors from observing others. Social comparison, that means that people tend to compare their behaviors with the behavior of others. They tend to compare with those who behave not that good to boost their self-esteem, or compare to somebody who is performing better to get an inspiration. Normative influence, norms, there are also 2 types of norms. For example, don't smoke 10 meters from the entrance to the building. That's a norm, so people tend to follow it. And if there is no present such a norm in a formal statement, so people tend to look how the majority of people actually behave. Social facilitation, that's a principle when people are more motivated to do something when they do together with others. For example, a marathon. You will not wake up one morning and think, okay, let's run a marathon today. But if there is an announcement, there will be Nordea Marathon, for example, you are more likely to run together with others at the same time, at the same day. And the last 3, cooperation, competition, recognition, those are, I think, quite obvious principles. So people tend to cooperate if there is a common goal, and people can achieve more if they do it together with others. If there is a situation when people can see that they can compete and get the first place, like in a different kind of competitions or the tops, so that if there is such a situation, they can, they are more motivated. Everyone wants to be number 1, basically. And recognition, people are more motivated to maintain the behavior if they are, if they receive a public award in front of the others that they have been, for example, the best employee of the month for 1 month, and that means that they would be more willing to be the best employer for the next month, so they will maintain the behavior they had before. So what I'm speaking about is more about how information systems, the ones that we use every day, can be complemented with specific user interface features. So those 7 principles are present in every social environment, just like this, where there is more than one person. If you are only one in the forest, there is no social context. These 7 principles are not present. As soon as there are more than one person, there are 2 people, social interaction takes place, and all of those 7 principles are present automatically. Now the question is, if it all works, it's inbuilt in every single person of us, how we can implement the same principles into information systems and to achieve the same effects. So that was the main question of my research that I've done over the 4 years. I will illustrate those in examples in the next slides. But let's start with the basic question. So why do we want those principles to be into the information systems? So the aim is to change people's attitudes or behaviors. Imagine we are at a company having an online service, and we have customers. Let's say we sell books. But then again, there are customers that come and we think they don't spend enough time in our online book service. So if we look at a certain group of people who come and we think they don't spend enough time on that book, on our online book service, and we want them to spend a longer time, that's a behavior change. Or, for example, there are users who have signed up to your online book service but never bought a book. So we want to turn those people from the people that are in a group that never bought a book into the person who has bought at least one book. That's a behavior change. One behavior, the other behavior. And there are plenty of examples of behavior change that we specifically tackle in our persuasive technology field. And this is the most common domain of behavior change that is very attractive nowadays. So how to help people to change their behavior if they want to quit smoking. So there are a group of people who don't care that they smoke, but there are a group of people who want to quit. How many of you know at least somebody who have said that January 1st, that's the end? Yes, almost half of you. How many of those occasions succeeded?
Do you mean they quitted or they quitted permanently?
Good question. Yeah, that depends whether they intended to quit just for that time or permanently. Typically people, if they have idea to quit smoking, that's typically for forever, because they have an idea why they want to quit. So, and of course, this example of behavior change is very drastic. Whenever there is an attempt to change any behavior, it has to be done by very small steps. For example, if that person who decided to quit smoking want to really achieve that goal, there has to be a gradual decrease in the intake of tobacco, for example. And what would make the situation even better if there are a group of other people that are willing to quit smoking and gradually decrease their behavior. For example, if there is an application and people who want to quit smoking register the number of cigarettes per day, and you can watch your own behavior, you can watch the statistics of your behavior, and at the same time you can see how behave other people like you. And if you see that they decreased already over the several weeks amount by 50%, but you only for 30%, that's a social influence effect. You think, why can't I do it? So I will do it. So on those kind of different kind of effects, they are present, and it's just a question how to design them as features into the applications. Maintaining weight, another example, or a very simple example of water intake. How many of you think you consume enough water per day? All right, almost 1/3. Very nice. That's the best result so far. I had 3 guest lectures already. You have the highest percentage so far. For those who think that they don't take enough water per day, what are the barriers? Just speak out.
I forgot to drink.
It's boring.
Forget? What was the other?
Water is boring.
Boring?
I don't know.
I guess it's laziness. If you drinking your glass of water and you know that you can refill it like 10 meters that way from the food, then you're like, nah, better sit in this comfy chair.
All right, we have already 3 reasons. So you can forget, you are lazy to refill, and water is boring by default, as I understood. Actually, I received another answer today in a lecture, and it was like, water is not tasty. So there can be endless number of reasons, but at the same time, the question is, of course, there will be a group of people who will say, I don't care. So that's not a target audience. Let's stick with those people who think that they are not having enough water per day and they are willing to get it. So in this situation, technology can help. First of all, they can remind if the person forgets. There can be specific features that would motivate those who are lazy. Different ones, we will go through some of them. And if the water is boring, that's attitudinal. So it's not really a behavior, it's an attitude towards water. Like the water is not tasty, that's also an attitude towards water. So there could be some features which represent that the majority of people think that it's not boring. And then it's the question, if you don't care about the majority, that feature doesn't work on you. But if you really every day receive a message that actually it's not boring, you gradually will tend to switch your behavior. So that's normative influence. So, but let's move on. And what is one of the very effective strategies from psychology to affect the behavior or the attitude of a user or a person is persuasion. And persuasion from the theories has dark side and a white side. Let's start with the dark side because in our research we are not using those. So the dark side can be deception. So if somebody says drink water enough every day and you will live forever, that's deception because that's not true. So we exclude those things. The other thing is coercion. So if your employer says to you, if you will not drink enough water every day, you will get fired. So that means you are forced to drink, which again is not covered in our research that I've done and persuasive technologies aim to. So any bright or appealing, convincing, different motivational ways that are positive, that doesn't have any negative taste, is what is considered under persuasive technology or persuasion in the context of our research. 20 years ago, these 2 gentlemen, Byron Reeves and Cliff Nass in Stanford University, these 2 people, they are psychologists. And they studied human psychology and also sociology, how we interact, how we persuade. And the question 20 years ago, when computers weren't that kind of they weren't in that amount as they are right now, so they were just like coming to our everyday life. The question was, can computer be designed to persuade people in the same way as people persuade people? But that was the main question. And they had a very bright student, professor from Stanford University, B.G. Fogg. I met him several times in the Persuasive Technology Conference. and he did his PhD, around 15 years ago. And the basic answer is yes. Yes, technology can be designed to persuade people in a certain ways. And he listed 43 principles in his book. I will show the book in a minute. But these are some of the examples I wanted to show to you, which are not really an interface of the computer or a smartphone that you interact with or you touch. But this is something else, but it's still technology that influences user behavior. How many of you have seen this before? All right, good. So you know what it is. What it does.
It actually adds a gameplay element while driving a car. It helps you to accelerate smoothly and use your brakes to recharge the batteries in an efficient manner.
Yes. What's the aim of this implementation?
Save energy.
To conserve power and reduce risky driving.
Yes, yes, and the overall goal is ecological driving. So, drive to get from point A to point B with the less energy, basically. And this is an example of persuasive technology. So in a Honda car, in the new ones, we drive, and the vehicle tells us how we behave, what is our driving behavior. Yes?
Can you turn it off? This display.
I can.
You know what?
I don't know.
If you can, if you cannot, then is it not coercive?
There can be a feeling of coercion for those people who don't want to say it. Yes, I can imagine that. So
Then again, I would not buy the car if I didn't want to see it.
you know, by the way, I think those people who don't care about their driving style, they wouldn't buy Honda anyway.
Yeah.
That's kind of. There are other brands of cars: Ferrari, Maserati, others. Yeah.
You can turn this off in BMW.
Okay.
But anyways, this is an example. So if you and for those people who are concerned about ecology, this signals every time about their behavior, and gradually, if the person is concerned about ecology, the behavior can change, because this is something that persuades. You drive not too ecologically friendly. If it's red, if it's green, you're good. There is another one. It's wire just illuminates, even though if you don't have anything plugged in, but it still reminds you that this part still consumes energy. So this is another technology that's persuading you to unplug, even though that you think there is no consumption. Actually, it is, and this tells you that. And there is an agent, and this agent is developed in Netherlands. I think it's in Philips Research Center, and it's also is related with the electricity consumption in a household. So you come home, and from the face of the cat, you know whether you has consumed more or less energy as compared to some kind of a previous period of time. So of course it can be configured in different ways, but you enter the home, and immediately it tells you. And it makes it much more easier for people to comprehend. Okay, the facial expressions, that's very usual for us to read from everybody's face. Okay, happy, sad, simple things. The same, it's just electricity consumption in your household compared to the average of the last week is on the face of the cat.
Just a question. The last one is surprise, right? It is surprised of how much electricity you use, or
Actually, yes, because the scale of the quantity of
goes
electricity.
to bad and then it's surprise.
Surprise.
I don't know.
It's a Japanese cat.
I don't know. But this is the example of how the same information or data can be represented in a form that is more persuasive. So you turn the numbers into the facial expressions. And there are plenty of other ways how technology can be designed. These are examples of technology can be designed to influence what you think. and how you behave. So this is the book. So it's 11 years back, was published. As you can see, it's Persuasive Technology, how computers can be used to change the behavior and attitudes. It lists a lot of principles that you, as a designers, can study and implement. And there are backgrounds how those features should influence users' behavior attitude one way or the other. So I'm not probably a professional, in user interaction or user experiences, but in a certain way, I can say that when you have developed an application that is easy to use, it's useful, looks nice, and it's appealing, there is still things you can add to the design, and those are persuasive features if you really want to have an effect on your user's behavior. So, and as a conclusion of the work of those three gentlemen from the Stanford University, the answer is yes. Computer can be social actor. So computer can persuade user in a similar way as people do persuade each other to change behavior. And then I used a little bit, and this is, I think there will be last slides from the theory section. Albert Bandura, who has social cognitive theory, which says that there is something that we think, there is our behavior, what we do, and there is an environment where we are. And those three things are interconnected and they are shaping each other as we behave, or as environment change, or as our thoughts change about certain topic. And if we look back to the example, for example, of water intake, so that can be so that I have to drink water more. I do the behavior, so I go to take the water. And for example, in Finland, you can easily drink the water from the tap anywhere. So that's very convenient, very easy. And everything goes. You drink enough water and everything. And then you suddenly are moved to some area, let's say India, and the environment has changed. And you can't do the same behavior as you did before. So the environment influenced your behavior. You can't go to the tap and get the water. And then you start to think, am I still consuming enough water? And so this is just an example how those things are interconnected one way. And it's the same way if we change the environment. In this case, if we change something into the design of the same application, can have similar effect of what we think and what we do afterwards. Social influence, that's those are the keywords in my dissertation. So social influence systems that are complemented with social influence principles. As in this example, people just stare upwards on a street. But if you look at this picture, there is one man standing and staring up. There are more people gathering together, and there's a person in a window. Something there is. And they all stare upwards, and they see an angel. And the angel looks down, and everyone looks up. There must be something. This is a very simple example how to show that how social influence actually is powerful. And the definition is that social influence is an effect on your thoughts or behavior by actual presence of the other people or imagine. There can be situations you just are alone, but you imagine the future situation that you will meet people, and that's already influenced what you think. And this is the triangle that I just now explained. What we think, our behavior, and the environment. And what I did in my studies, I implemented those 7 principles that I briefly described earlier as a features into the information system interface. Let's recap those 7. Social learning, so people tend to learn from each other, and there are quite many studies that kids, that's the basic form of their learning. They observe adults and learn. They copy their parents, but the same applies to the adults. For example, if the person never have chopped wood, like no idea what it is. It's enough to sit for 15, 20 minutes and to look how others do it. And you get an understanding, okay, you put this foot and then you take an axe and do like this. That's social learning. Social comparison. So people, whenever there are opportunity, you can easily probably remember your studies, and then you see the grades of yourself and the classmates. You see whether you are the best in the class or the worst, and then you can easily see whether how you look at compared to the others. And based on that, you can make conclusions whether you have to improve your study behavior or you are good enough already. As I told, norms, so there is a form of statement. The majority of us do not use tobacco, for example, that we start to think, are we among the majority or are we not? So people are more comfortable to be among the majority rather than being not in a majority. Or if you don't know, and you, for example, go to some foreign country and you don't know whether it's allowed to smoke indoors, you just go indoors and say, if people are smoking indoors, that's a norm. So that's a social norm over there. Facilitation, so most likely this man wouldn't dress up in this kind of costume if there hadn't been a marathon at the same day. Imagine this guy running alone and there are cars on the street. Most likely not happen. But if there's a marathon, a person has extra motivation to dress up and run like this. So this is a facilitation. You do the same thing together with others, you are more motivated. And there is another aspect which is spectators. So if a person is more motivated to perform a behavior if there are spectators. And there is a small trick. A person, if the behavior, if person has to perform something that the person is good at, spectators can facilitate the behavior in a way that performance increases. But if there is a person has to perform something that the person is not good at, the effect can be opposite. So it's tricky principle and has to be taken care when designing it. And the last three, I think they are quite obvious. So it's cooperation. People tend to cooperate if they see a common goal. People tend to compete if there is a situation of competition. You can be the first or get ahead of others. And recognition. People like to receive public recognition, and that motivates them to continue behave good or the way they behaved before. So these are again 7 principles that I've studied, and then the project that I worked on was entitled Social Media in Physical Space. What's interesting about that is that we all have more or less devices, mobile connected devices, and then we have environments that are enriched with the public screens. We can easily look to the airports or to shopping malls or to cafeterias or restaurants. I was in a kid restaurant just half an hour or hour ago, and it was switched off, but still it was there. So we have environments with screens and we have mobile devices. The question is how to set up the interaction between the two, the screen on the wall and the mobile device in your pocket. And as this slide shows, their tendency is that this kind of a connectivity that people actually can sit with their mobile devices and there are screens, this setting will transform how we behave in a public spaces. And the more we will allow interconnect people with the public screens and interchange the information even without touching the screen, we'll transform these environments. And this is Oulu Airport. Oulu is a city in Finland where I got my blue covered degree, and we run the experiment and we set up the system on that screen back there in a cafeteria, and we had to choose one of the social media to connect with. We chose Twitter because we thought that it's one of the easiest way to get feedback from our customers. So the purpose of the system was to collect the feedback. So there are travelers in the airport, they go through the airport, and it's one of the ways how to collect feedback from the customers is to give the questions on the screen and allow everyone to respond through their own Twitter accounts just by using one hashtag. This is the system. This is the interface. Please don't put attention that much of the graphical detail, so that was not the purpose of the study. The purpose, as I told, was to give the questions to the travelers. Their responses were showed on the left side, and they had to use that hashtag to respond. How many of you use Twitter? All right. Also the best ratio, and I can say that more than those who think that they intake water enough. So, yeah. All right. Twitter is a social media that allows post short messages that are limited to 140 characters, not words, characters. So it's probably one of the convenient ways to express your opinion in a short manner. And as I told, we implemented that system in the airport. It was on that kind of a screen, so that's real physical space. We tested those features, and now I will explain how those 7 were implemented into the interface. Assumption was that this part on the left represents how other people construct the responses. So these were actual pictures from Twitter accounts and their responses to the certain question. So assumption was that this implies social learning. People can learn. People can learn from the responses of other people. They can learn how those other tweets were created, what the topics were discussed, how to squeeze in the thought in 140 characters, all that kind of thing. So this left side represents social learning. On the right side, other 6 social influence features were designed. Again, please, don't be so critical to the actual implementation. We did it together with my master's student, and we tried our best to represent the principle, the social influence principle, rather than the nice graphical implementation of the feature. So, just to keep the focus clear. Social comparison depends on how many tweets each user provided. The username grew in size and changed color. So at any time, a person could see himself among others and compare how big is my username and what color it had, representing social comparison. I could easily see that guy with a small username on top of it, the gray color, could possibly feel that rather I would tweet some more tweets to get my username a bit bigger and in the red color. And it's all interactive. In the beginning of the study, it was like a blank page. So whenever first user tweeted something, so the username appeared there. This is just an end result of a certain study that I did. There were several studies in the University of Oulu. There were several studies in Latvia. Actually, I did one in Riga Business School. I did one with the company Cilde, and I did with the advertising agencies. So that's why you probably will see Latvian names and surnames, and also sometimes some strange names and surnames, possibly from Finland. So, normative influence. As I told, 2 dimensions. On the top there is a statement. The person typically responds 1 tweet per 1 question. So if I haven't done it, I kind of feel that I'm not normal. So I tend to respond at least 1 question to the one answer to the 1 question. And below is actual behavior. So each user had a ratio representing. If the user had 1, so that means user had given at least 1 response to each question. If it's below, so you're like below the norm, or you are ahead of norm if it's larger than 1. And as you can see, that's a group ratio on top of there, 1.3, which again confirms to that particular group that as a group, we follow the norm of 1 response per 1 question. Social facilitation, the number of active users. So if you imagine if you have a system somewhere on that kind of a screen, and instead of 30, there is 0. So you would think, what to do? Nobody uses it. Should I be the first? But at the same time, if you see that there are other people at the same time using the same system, that means, that's normal. Why shouldn't I do the same thing? So you kind of, it's not only me. There are others using actively right now. So it gives you a feeling, okay, I can do it together with others at this point of time. And also you can find from the users that have used the system or using the system at the same time, your friends, and that will even increase your motivation that even your friends are using, okay, they are more similar to me, but I can use the system as well. And last three, cooperation. It was one of the simplest HTML designs, just to give one brick per one tweet. And the color of the brick was attached to the certain question that was answered. Of course, from that we can read which question was probably more attractive, so people responded more. But it can be designed any other way. You can build a tower, and then imagine you have built the tower, and each next tweet gives a brick, and you want to see what will be at the top of the tower. Okay, let me tweet a bit more. There is a red flag. Okay, nice. But the point is, you've received a kind of motivation which you wouldn't have if there wouldn't be a tower that you are building all together. So it's kind of encourages you to possibly provide answers to some of the questions that are probably not that interesting to you, but these features are motivating you to provide some extra tweets, just to kind of, in this case, just to see the top of the tower, in this case, representing cooperation. I think this is very obvious. You have seen a lot of this. So competition, and you have seen a lot of implementations of this. So if there is a top, people want to be first, and there are other aspects I will describe a bit later, but I think this is quite self-evident. And recognition. So people, based on their tweets, a number of tweets, they receive special level or title. In this case, it was simply implemented as bronze, silver, gold, platinum. So the more you receive, the more you have provided tweets, the higher level you achieve. All right, these are the results of my 4 studies that I've done together with my colleagues. That's why I created something like a bit more readable, and this is, as in academia is said, and it's very important, this is the contribution. This is the contribution of my doctoral degree, and this is the summary of everything that I have studied, and this is the summary of the previous studies. And to give a brief introduction how it can be used. So all the 7 features are there. They are placed on the gray areas, 3 gray areas, and there are black arrows connecting. Arrows, let's see whether we will get to those, but the most important thing that is helpful for people who would like to use those features into the interfaces to change something in user behavior is that those 2 on the left, social comparison, normative influence, are more effective to change attitudes. So if there is something related with the attitude is typically as a form like water is boring, that's an attitude, or water is not tasty, that's an attitude. So if you want to work on those kind of things, then first I would suggest to start with normative influence and social comparison. As an example, we could quickly run a survey or post on Facebook one simple question. Is water boring? Yes, no. And a lot of people will respond, and if majority of people would say that water is not boring, then you would read that and think. If majority think it's not boring, and I'm not the majority, then and people don't want to be, like not everyone, but not many people would like to be outside the majority. And also comparison. Social comparison would be that, especially your question can be given to your friends. What do you think, how tasty is the water? And you can give the scale from 1 to 10. And then your friends will rate the water, the tastiness of the water, and then you could easily compare your answer to the friends of your answers of your friends. And then if you see that your answer is far away from the average of your friends, you could compare that and you would see that, actually I'm very similar to these people, but my answer in this question is very far away. Again, there is some kind of motivation that would show up in this case to change your attitude. So you will start to think, is my attitude towards this question really that important to me, or why it's so different to the majority of my friends? Those two are more effective if we start with attitude. These two, social facilitation, cooperation, is more effective if we start to change somebody's behavior, even though that the attitude is possibly negative or not formed at all. So in the same example of whether water is tasty or not, imagine a situation that you agree with your 9 best friends, you are 10 together, to cooperate, to drink 100 liters of water per week. Just example. That represents cooperation. So 10 people together drink 100 liters per week. That means 10 liters per person per week, not that much actually. But the point is, if at the end of the week you would see that your 9 best friends have consumed already enough, but you are lagging behind, and just because of you will not get those 100 liters, which will prohibit you to go to Hawaii, for example. Of course you will drink, even though you think, water is not tasty, but you will drink, you will start the behavior, you will start drinking, you will probably consider, maybe the taste is not that bad. So through the participation, you could gradually actually change the attitude. And facilitation, so if you would see that a large number of people actually drink and say it's tasty, so you would think, maybe it's not that bad after all. And the top 2, recognition and competition, those are very effective to really engage in certain activity and keep people engaged for a certain period of time. And if compared, in one of my studies, so competition was compared to recognition. Both of them are effective to get people engaged, but competition is more short-term. Compete right now. Get number 1 place now. And of course, if you can't get it for a longer time, your motivation decreases, and the competition as a feature loses its power. At the same time, if you are recognized for your good behavior, in 1 week, for example, you have achieved better results than others in a certain way, you are more inclined, and you have received a very nice award in the front of this audience, you are much more willing to maintain this good behavior to receive the same award after a week. So recognition has this long-term effect as compared to competition. Both of them are effective, but if compared, then recognition is having more long-lasting. But if you want a campaign to get immediate results, of course competition is effective too.
What about the black arrows?
Actually, this is the slide I would like to finish the presentation part. Now we can answer to the black arrows and all the other questions that you possibly have come up during this time. And while I will explain the black arrows, may I ask you to think about what you would like to change in your behavior? Anything. Just take some time. Is there anything that you always wanted to change, or you would like to change, but it never happened, or it gives you hard times to make it happen? And then after I explain this, I would like to hear some examples, and I would like to give you an answer of what of these 7 would be the first ones to consider to make your envisioned behavior change happen. Black arrows. Which one?
What do they mean?
In general, they mean that if the system has one feature, for example, social facilitation, and there is an arrow to competition. So that means whenever we implement feature that is intended to represent social facilitation, it has a portion of competition present. The difficulty was, and it still is, to make them really distinct. It's almost impossible. Whenever we implement one, it has a small bits and pieces of other social influence aspects. And this is how they, on the one hand, we can say they represent the other feature where the arrow ends, and on the other hand, they explain. Yeah, from the academic perspective, I could translate that social facilitation explains certain percentage of the competition to be present. Even though that we intended only to implement facilitation and then realized actually the people start to compete, but that's why. And those black arrows are purely based on those 4 different small graphs that were before, shown on those 2 slides before. And those gray areas come up with accumulated knowledge about each single feature based on the studies and based on the other research results that I haven't published yet. This as a tool can be applied at any time when there is a real product, real online service, and there is some kind of a user group, and we are not happy about their behavior. They are not behaving as we want. So at that time, if there is a current behavior of the user group, we are not happy about that, and we want them to behave differently. Future behavior, so current behavior A, future behavior B. Whenever you are able to define this situation, send me to my email. I will pick up this and I will respond at least several ideas where to start. For example, a person gave me a situation where there is an agency and people are working on the projects and they need to do what every day?
Log time. Log time.
Exactly, log time. And it doesn't happen. And what can we do? I send him how every single feature can have an influence on those users through the same time log system. His response was, wow, okay, where to start? So yeah.
I just wonder whether you actually helped to the goalkeeper.
Sorry?
I wondered whether you actually helped the goalkeeper to start.
We will meet in a couple of days. I've sent him an email a week or 2 weeks ago. I arrived to Latvia last Wednesday, very late, so I will meet him soon. And then I will see which of those 7 he would see as the most convenient one to start. Actually, it's also interesting for me because I can explain how they work, I can explain how they possibly can be implemented, and then it's very valuable for me to receive feedback from the real people working in a real agency, doing real stuff and reporting real hours, how they perceive this theoretical knowledge as helpful or not, or which ones. Yeah, there was.
Okay, right. Sure. I think this model is either scary or it's missing something. The question is how, okay, if I want to change the attitude of peer pressure, so I want to change the attitude, can this model help me? For example, if I want my kid to teach that he is not afraid of peer pressure, that he can stand by himself with his own attitude. And I want to teach this new attitude. And here I see that there's either normative influence or social comparison that can help him.
The point is that, first of all, peer pressure in general is the same normative influence. That's the same area. We can use different terms for that. So peer pressure, normative influence is generally the same element. But once again, if you say you want the change in the attitude, so what is the current attitude and what's the future attitude? Can you say that in one sentence and in one sentence?
Current attitude is fear of being different. And the future attitude is independent thinking and he's not afraid. Basically, he's not afraid to express his independent thoughts.
Of course, it's probably difficult right now to formulate it really like in terms of attitude, because fear probably is not really an attitude, that's kind of a feeling. So, but I think if you will try to formulate that in a form of real attitude towards something, and then the future attitude, it can be done. For example,
This sounds more like a behavioral thing, so we want to change behavior, the attitude.
And the second answer is that what I meant here is they are effective for both, but these ones are a bit more effective for attitude and this is more effective for it's not like they're excluding each other. It's just that if there is a situation that we would like to change attitude, I would suggest to start with this. Of course, every of those 7 can be used, but I would rather suggest to start with this. And as an example to this, if the kid is afraid to be different, and target attitude is kid is not afraid to be different, so possibly if the kid would receive signals that actually he is not different, so if he could receive different kind of information or signals that others actually are behaving exactly the same way as he or she does. So that would be as information to the kid that his behavior is not actually different, so there is nothing to fear of. But of course, if the kid really acts differently, then it doesn't work out. So then the kid is different, and then probably different approach can be used. But I would suggest if you could try to think about that, formulate that current attitude, future attitude, just send me an email. I will have more time to think of what can possibly be done.
I had actually a very similar question. I get the feeling that all the social influence stuff is actually very coercive in its nature. As this example, it essentially proves the point that you are not really scared to be different. You're scared of the consequences of appearing different. Aren't you? Or am I? This is what sounds. Well, my question is then, in the literature, does it appear in some literature that this, how I formulated it, that all social influence is coercive by its nature, or is this just some original thought of mine that has no basis?
So I will just rephrase so we are not like lost in translation. So what you say is that social influence by default is coercive.
Yes.
It's something that is present here. So any of you feel some kind of coercion?
No, I want to add to what you said.
But it's a very interesting point, and
It is, and I'd like to elaborate on it. So about feeling different, you were partially right that, of course, that's my thought, that when the person is afraid to feel different, he is, as you said, afraid of consequences, which are set by the norm. And as an individual, you don't really know that if you belong to this norm. And if you have experienced or seen somebody else who acts, let's say, differently, let's put it in quotation marks because difference is a meaning, you can argue about it. There tend to be positive or negative feedback from society. So, for example, negative example would be exclusion. Positive would be, yes, do it more. So I think you were partially right that the child may be afraid that he doesn't. He's afraid of the consequences that the other society will think of him, because he doesn't have this model to compare himself to the society around him. So maybe there is some way to teach the child, or to analyze somehow at what level is the society he is potentially afraid of, and where does he belong to it, and then give positive feedback on the way to improve, improve his delivery of his, let's call it weirdness or different weirdness, so he plays on social norms and he can get the positive feedback.
So you just introduce the kid to some weird kids.
This is negative, so don't do this. No,
Some nice weird kids.
I think it would be good if the kid tells you the presentation and you go as you an adult, you can analyze if this could go over well or not, or won't. So you can give feedback on the thing that he wants to present.
So two last questions.
I think to comment on this one, I think the big problem is that only half of the problem is changing the kid. I think what we should change is the society around the kid rather than using the same influences.
I had a question which I wanted to say.
Your time's over.
Well, this discussion made me think about the question, the application of this model to outside technology, because we started out by informative systems, and now we delved into something totally different. Is this based on your research, by quantified research totally on systems, or is this applicable outside technology?
It's vice versa. So it exists outside technology. My attempt was to design it in the technology and to test how does it work.
So this model is taken from outside?
No, this is driven by me. But it's based on the theories, and each of those boxes has a long list of theories behind. And they are all listed here. So, and that you can easily access for free. It's available, so you just search for my name and social influence systems. I'm sure you will get links to the downloadable PDF. Long list of different theories backing up all of those. It's just my studies gave me opportunity to see the interconnections in the specific technological context, which is Twitter system in the public space and the features that were designed. Certainly, it has to be tested in the other context, but the point is, if it's based on the theories, it has to have similar effects in a similar context. I would really, before we end, I would really answer to the question, because I really like good questions and tough questions. I had a lot of them in my defense, and about whether social influence is coercive. And what I tend to repeat every time, it's the intent. The intent defines whether it's coercive or whether it's not coercive. So intention, and we are you are designers. You have an intent, what you would like to achieve. If you would like to achieve a change of behavior that actually person don't want to achieve, possibly it includes coercion. Basically depends. If your intent is ethically, and then again, we can have endless discussion on terminology, and every one of us will have a different view on what's ethical, what's good, what's bad. But the point is, I tend to say intent. If your intent is good, do it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Agnes, very much. It was really interesting, and I think we got a lot of food for our mind, not only for today, but also to think about some things maybe tomorrow. And now we have the next speaker, more for the UI part. So Yanis, floor is yours. Yanis from ZoomChart will tell about his or ZoomChart products, and also about maybe some tricks how to design data visualization things.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jan Solbergs. I'm CEO of Zoom Charts, and I'll tell you today about our startup and slightly about our product and what we are doing, why we are doing, and how we are doing it. Right, so the name of our product, as you can see, is Zoom Charts, and what we are producing is Zoom Charts SDK, which we call to be the most interactive data visualization software. And we are a new startup established in Latvia just last year. We started out thanks to the seed investment from Premature Capital Latvia. We used this first round of investments to create the actual product, which now, since March of this year, is already available for purchase and has been purchased by many different customers from all over the world. And the actual product is entirely new data visualization software development kit, which puts in the center not the technology, but the person sitting behind the device that every one of us is having in their pockets. The users of the mobile phones, the users of the iPads. We wanted to make such a development toolkit that would allow developers to create interfaces that make it easy to access the data, to analyze data, to interact with the data. So we are not the library that lets you create a chart, we are a library that lets you create an interface that then engages the user into an immersive and interactive data exploration venture, so to say. And just to give you an idea of what sort of visualizations you can achieve using our development kit. So we have products like this. So we have the network chart. The network chart lets you visualize different networks of data, whether they are social networks, whether they are Internet of Things networks. All of that you can visualize on your any device you have, basically, whether it's an iPhone, iPad, or notebook, or touch TV. We have interactive time chart. The interactive time chart lets you access big data behind and explore what happens within specific areas of that data without using any other interface components, but just that. We have reinvented in different number of ways the pie chart. I'll tell you later on how. And we have also reinvented such a chart called as a Facebook chart. Now if we recap what makes our SDK unique, I would like to stress out a few things. So first of all, as I said, it's built to make data navigation engaging, so that it wouldn't be just a boring chart or boring old interface, so that it would be interesting for people to actually use your software. That would include the Zoom Charts application. And we also find out that most of you like that the performance of the application is smooth and nice, so we put a lot of efforts in creating this development kit such that it will be super nice looking and super fast on most of the contemporary devices. And also we have added the different aspects of how you can visualize different sort of data in a compelling ways. And obviously, for those of you who have some already applications or products, as we say, Zoom Charts help you sell your product, because when we show our products to the wider audience or to actual end consumers, when they see the interface built with the Zoom Charts, they love it and they immediately see how they can use it for other purposes. So basically what we are doing with Zoom Charts is sort of accelerating the emergence of new ideas that could have been done yesterday because there wasn't such development kit available. And I could talk a lot, but I think it's better to show you some real-life example of how we have applied Zoom Charts to tackle some of the issues in the real world. Let me see if the internet is working here. Should be. Okay, so product called My Instabank. One day, Gins came over to my desk and said, "Hey, we use the internet banking every day, but whenever you go to the account statement, it's really this long, boring list. And when you need to see the big picture, you just can't. All you get into your Swedbank bank account statement is just a list. Well, normally what you do now is you go to the export option, you export all the data to the Excel and then make some charts. Then the idea spawned up that we could use our interface to actually give all this information another meaning into the hands of its user. And so what we did is, first of all, we applied our charts to the already existing data within the internet banks. And to begin with, so what you can see here at the top is called the time chart. Why time chart? Because it shows you data aggregated by timestamps. So if you have any data that has the timestamps, you can use the time chart to display such nice charts. And as I said before, the picture is where most of the chart libraries end. It is the end product of their libraries. In our case, the chart is just the beginning of your venture, because now, let's imagine you wanted to see what happened in year 2012. So what do you think you have to do? Yes, one click. You just click on it. And immediately the chart communicates with the banking database, retrieves more data for that period, and immediately now again aggregates data by income, which is green, and the red is the expense. So immediately, with one click, you immediately get access to that 1 year. So no more drop-downs where you have to pick specific dates or unintuitive actions. Just one simple tap, which works perfectly fine on your iPad or iOS. And obviously, the rest of the interface then responds to the time period that you have selected. Of course, if you need that list, the list is there, but now it's filtered for that 1 year that you just selected. If you need some other information, let's say you are interested specifically in July, again, just one click and immediately the interface is communicating back to the server and fetching more data. Now, speaking about the pie charts, what they tell you here is they immediately show you the green one where your money is coming from. So if you're owner of a company, you immediately see how you earn the money within that particular period of time. And red obviously shows how you spent your money that you get from somewhere. And all our charts are interactive, so yes, you can also click on any of those slices to filter out then the time chart. So if you're interested in that particular company, with one click you can immediately see when exactly you did spend the money on that customer. Also, I said before that we have reinvented certain aspects of the pie chart, and one of the key aspects that we have reinvented is normally if you have a pie chart, then in most of the pie charts that I've seen before, you always have that gray area that says others, and you never know what's inside there. Well, we have fixed that problem. What you have to do is, yes, just one click. You click on that and it automatically expands. So now using one pie chart, you can explore all the data horizontally that is in there that you would like to display to your customer. In this case, we are seeing all the companies that you've been dealing business with there. So all of this is interactive, it's multi-touch ready, so on iPad you can use gestures to swipe in, swipe out, do all sorts of interesting things. All those charts come bundled with extensive API, which means that you can combine these charts with other JavaScript components that exist within your application to create an interface and an experience to your user that you are looking forward to. There are a number of ways how you can visualize those data within each of those charts. And yeah, what is good is that also the time chart, it is, as we say, big data ready, because it comes together with a very smart data cache, and if you attach it to the data sources that handle a lot of data, chart, whenever you do some navigation, it automatically requests only data for that particular unit for that particular period of time. So there are no data that is not unnecessarily being fetched from your servers. Thus, you keep the loads small, the interface fluid, and the overall experience very nice. And yeah, so time chart, pie chart, working together smoothly. Another demonstration that I would like to show you today would be, let's close this one, is about one other chart type that is network chart, which is, I think, even more interesting. Let me show you how. Let's maximize it. here we go. So, one of the very unique products that we have within Zoom Charts is the network chart component. And the network chart component lets you visualize different social and financial and what other not network structures directly within your device, whatever device that be. In this case, it's normal. So in this particular example, what we did is we fetched a very little subset of IMDb database just to show you how you can use the network chart to visualize the information that is already there, but in totally different way. So imagine you arrive late home and you would like to see a new movie, but you are not really sure what you want to look for. So, but you know that you like the Al Pacino. So what you do is you just type in Al Pacino and immediately you see here the actor and the top movies of his. Alright, and this is the point where your journey of data exploration begins, because with simple taps you can now start explore what other actors were involved in that particular movie. And this way you can continue this exploration until you find a content that seems either familiar or something totally new that you'd be happy to consume. And what is good here is this moment of trust, because you started with Al Pacino, you know, you trust that person, you love the movies with him, and now you can see that there is this anniversary that is linked to him. So you think, if I like that Al Pacino, and if he is linked to those movies somehow together, maybe that's something worth watching today. And what is more interesting is that obviously on any of those movies, with the right click you can instantly access more information about that movie and watch the trailer or buy the movie. So what I'm saying here is that using the Zoom charts as a core component of your visual interface, you can let people discover your content, find something they like, and also buy it or consume it. So it's not just seeing the big picture, but it's interacting and consuming. And all of that happening within one compelling interface. In close future, I believe in the next year, we're also thinking about expanding those charts to let cross-device communication, which would mean that you would go home, take your iPad, open up this software, and when you find a movie that you want to watch, upon a click of buy or watch, it would start playing on your TV. So devices would be cross-linked through using the Zoom charts interface in the cloud infrastructure, and would enable for such use in this. And obviously, also this chart comes together with extensive APIs, so you can apply different filters to the data. For instance, in this particular example, we have applied this IMDb filter here. So if you really are not looking at anything that's below 9, you can click on 9 and you can see that there are not that many movies within this subset. But if you are not that kind of person, you can reduce the star limit to something smaller and the movies appear. Also, another interesting aspect here is this time machine, within which you can filter out movies either that are very old, or on the other hand, you can focus on movies that are contemporary. All of that can be easily configured for your application, for your customer, for your product as you need. Obviously, the styling, same thing here. You can style any aspect of those charts. You can put pictures, lines, double lines, arrows, what else not. And obviously the search, but the search in this case, this has nothing to do with the visualization, it just shows you what you can do. By the way, we're using the cluster point, no SQL database in behind of this presentation and the other one, because cluster point, no SQL database is perfect for storing lots of data and for performing aggregations on the fly. So, that is the sort of the killer chart that we have, the network chart. And many companies, among which is the Hewlett-Packard from the United States, have already found usage for their cloud solutions to visualize all sorts of different things. And one more thing that I would like to show you for you. Okay. We can go. Yeah, well, if you go to our webpage, you can see all sorts of examples of how other ways you can use our charts. Just before I continue, in this index page demonstration, we are showing one critical aspect of our charts. So our charts can be cross-combined in very interesting ways. So what you see here is the Julia's social network, so you can see what her friends are. You can play around with the network and expand and see what other persons are there. You could do that in real time. But this thing is interesting that when you click again on the Julia, this pie chart pops up on the Julia. And what it says what social networks Julia is using most. So as you can see, within this interface, we are already combining a lot of data that is easily accessible with just a few taps. And it doesn't stop there. So, okay, right, so she loves Facebook. But what we can do is we can click on the Facebook, and the second level of the pie chart comes up. There can be unlimited levels that can pop out. And this second level shows you which tags is she using within that social network. So now we know that Julia loves Facebook, and within the Facebook, she loves to talk about love. And another thing that you can do is you can click on the love, and you get this interactive time chart that says when exactly she's talking about the love on the Facebook. So you can see all the power that you can, and all the data that you can display just within that simple chart. Yes, we're waiting for NSA to contact us about this. All right, so this was the hierarchical data exploration with the pie chart to highlight. And returning to the presentation. So close this one. All right, so we talked about this internet banking interface. We're using our charts. You can easily augment the interface to never seen before just by adding our charts. And actually, we are talking already with multiple banks in Latvia, not only to get this actually into the customer hands so they can get this control over their data. So the movie browser just shows you how you could potentially discover the movies. We are talking with the Samsung about integrating that into the smart TVs. And speaking about the future, in close future, and when I say close future, I mean a year or two, we are looking forward to integrate support for a number of new human-machine interfaces that are becoming emerging, such as, most of us already have the gyro controls, but we're also looking forward to integrating the voice control into our charts so that you can easily tell them zoom in, zoom out, or do other sorts of navigational things. And there are many new chart types coming up, such as the GeoChart, which would let you easily put those interactive pie charts on a map, so you can display different statistics for persons within one chart, which is obviously topical and stuff like that. And also, we're looking forward to creating a bunch of cloud services that would enable, as I mentioned, this cross-chart communication on the one hand, and other things that I'm not really allowed to tell you now, but there will be some big things you will hear about this. Yes, and what is good is availability. So as I mentioned before, it's already available to download the software on our webpage. You can get easily 30-day free trial to just play around with it. And we are giving away free licenses also for non-commercial private projects, for students, for charities. But if you have a commercial project, you would still need to obtain a developer license. So contact us or just get it online. And among our customers, some prominent companies already, with the marketing budget equal to 0, but with smart SEO strategy. And basically, yeah, that's it. Thank you for your attention. Any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now. If no, just drop me a line.
Was there a question?
Yes?
Very boring, but could you say more?
That's boring. No, I mean that our chart is focused on the visualization. So it's pure JavaScript library, so you can plug it in any project, and we have described certain ways how you can connect to a number of data sources. But normally what we're looking forward to is to have a JSON data object, which we then load and put into the chart. So we really don't care about where your actual data is stored, whether it's MySQL or if it's just a JSON file, or if it's some PHP backend that connects to somewhere else. So it's just a standard that is defined within a chart within which you have to provide this data. That's it. It can be also set in the configuration if that's a simple one. Yes, sir?
Very small. Okay. But then how you are different from these three ready-made graphs. In this rewritten, like in the same place, I also can upload my data and there's kind of template visualization, but it's there.
If we are talking about 3D, the issue there is that you really need to be a developer of 3D to actually do some 3D visualization. Our aim is to make this library super easy also for developers to use, because in order to have all those nice interactions, it's built in. You don't have to manually develop them. In a D3, you have to manually code all those components or take some third-party libraries. We aim to make this life simple also for developers, so that it's just plug and play and works perfect. So that you don't have to care about animations and stuff like that. We actually have pretty much our own game engine within this to enable all those smooth transitions and animations that you will see if you will play around with it yourself.
Another boring question: how much do you ask for it?
Well, it's actually very little that we ask for it. The developer license that lets you work on an unlimited number of projects is $699, including VAT. If you would like to have also the premium support, which includes 10 hours of content consultations, that would be $899.
So a question from my side: how do you see your perspective on your start development? As soon as I know you just returned from Silicon Valley trip, so
yeah.
What's going on there?
So basically, at the moment, what we are doing is we have completed the first round in which we created this product, and now we are entering the second phase. We already have raised some decent sum of money for this second round, and within the second round, what we are going to do, we are going to rapidly expand our sales and the marketing team. Our primary market is the US market, because most of the sales already come from there, and also the Western Europe. So primarily we're going to focus on the US market and yes, the Western Europe as well. And also adding a lot of new features. We have already expanded our engineering team. And by the way, we have one free vacancy, so if you know anyone who is very, very good at JavaScript and algorithms, so you can let him know that we're looking for one. And yes, rapid team expansion. Presence in the US is also on our list, and we are also going to work on patenting, because there are pretty many things within our charts that can be patented, and we will patent them to ensure that our knowledge is used in an honest way.
So when you open up office in San Francisco and Silicon Valley?
I believe next year.
Okay.
We should get incorporated.
Is there not a company from design or UI UX part, because two of them already somehow in Silicon Valley?
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're looking forward to join them and to bring the name of Latvia outside the Latvian. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, now it's the final part for this event. Do we have any featured events?
Yeah, a couple of them. This is just part of announcements.
Okay.
Yeah, I just like to spread the word about sister meetups, sister technology international meetups, and one of them is 3D printing meetup in October 22. It's this week, and we have a featured speaker as Charles Bushman, who is leading the Riga Technical University Design Factory, talking about how 3D printing is changing product development approach. And Thursday, in October 23, we have a parallel programming meetup, and we have a guy, a professor from Tartu University, speaking about it. Big computing and scientific application, but there's also two interesting projects. One is a machine learning project, because in Latvia one guy is developing machine learning, automotive machine learning project. It's 3D or something like that. So if you're interested in that, just spread the word or come appear in IT demo center this week. The previous meetup will be held in Latvia's Universitas Business Incubator in South Passes 5. So just spread the word about it. Yeah, park announcements.
Okay.
Everybody.
Any other announcements? Yes.
Can I
can I do that? Looking for a UI UX designer?
Yeah, we had the first hand here raised up, so you're the second.
Hello, my name is Toms. I'm a UX advocate and practitioner, and I'm looking for either a full-time place in a team which is passionate about UX and who I could work for, or we can have a project-based cooperation and see how to make whatever you are doing better. Thank you. Contacts.
Contacts. I think one good thing would be that we create a discussion list in our meetup group, and you can also add your name and information about yourself there. Okay?
Yeah, maybe next one. So.
Yeah. I'll start talking. I'm from a local software house, and somehow for the last few years we got by without a designer. Not without trying, but the cooperation wasn't very, not always was very good with designers for what we are trying to do. And right now we are thinking about, actually we're almost finished with a startup project of our own. And I'd like to tell you about, and that we are looking for a designer to join our team. If I could get a... Yeah, thanks. Oh, yeah. Display board. You're gonna see the name just in a second, and it's called Blowchart, but Zoom Chart shouldn't worry, we're not a competitor. We're more of maybe a future client. Just a minute, okay. Okay. So yeah, social data publishing platform. This has been tried. This has been tried, and we're about to try it once more again. It's a place on the web where you can find interesting data and create interesting data with just a few clicks. Okay. So the basic technology for it is similar to services like If This Then That or Zapier, if you've heard of them, but we don't perform any actions with the data, we visualize it. As well as we have a plugin for a browser that sees the web that finds data on the web page and generates a chart. I will tell you about this rechart of working title thing that we're working, and our one thing that's innovative a bit on the UI side and UX side is that we allow for commenting of data points. So if for example, you have a pie chart, you see a slice, and you can have a discussion about that exact slice. And yeah, and the charts are embeddable, just like YouTube videos and so on. So where we at? So yeah, our internal alpha is done. We're iterating on it, and this thing, this design thing is not implemented. And so we would like to get a team member that would swoop in and do this thing with us. So just a preview how this thing looks. It's the lags are not from the lags are probably because my laptop is running on battery. So here you see some charts. Unfortunately, test chart, but like Spotify, we just take the data exactly out of Spotify, and the chart comes up. There's some more screenshots here of what we have at this point. as I said, design is not implemented, the visual design, I mean, and so as well as some other things. So who are we looking for? We're looking at for a web designer and not a website painter. By that I mean not the person who only works in Photoshop and creates something that looks good in the Photoshop and then has no idea that the end product will be seen in a web browser, and that's been the most challenging thing for us. So these are some of the requirements. If you see yourself as somebody who fits there, please contact me. Okay, so just some words. What are the main challenges you are going to face if you are taking on this project? There is a lot of data that APIs return. So this is one of the horrible examples, and it's more horrible with this projector. But you somehow have to work with a data set, and there are some creative things I'm looking for a designer to come up with. Okay, what else? Our main idea is that we want the data to come from the web. So we will not feature, this is easy, but we will not feature functionalities to upload XML files, CSV files. We will not feature a spreadsheet. This is our decision. And this must be communicated because what I want that all the sources, all the data sources are visible at the chart. And yeah, what I said about that specific data point, that is also something brand new. At least I have not seen it anywhere before, and we need to show the users that you know this comment here is related to this data point, not any other data point. So yeah, so if anybody is up for the challenges, please contact me at Twitter. Just DM me. Yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Any questions from that?
Great.
Yeah, maybe questions afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, any other announcements? Yeah. Please, stage is yours.
Yeah, hi. My name is Johannes Livinč. I'm a co-founder of a digital agency based in Riga. We're a team of 6 people, and currently we're looking for the 7th. We need a web designer, great user experience, color palette. We like flat and clean designs. And if you have anything to show, or you might know who is looking for a job, then please share my contacts. I might leave them here.
So maybe we should add some what we're offering, or why the person should join us.
Oh yeah, okay.
This is
we have an ad actually in fold.lv.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I might
full description.
Yeah, there's a full description and everything is written there.
Maybe we could go further.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Is there any more announcements per day?
I think I'll shoot them as well.
Yeah, go on.
I have also worked with Tom. He's a great guy. Okay, thanks.
Hassle. I just have to show this to make you understand what it is. So we are looking for a UX person and a user interface developer. And so what we're primarily doing is we're making builders. And these are product customization tools that allow clients to visualize the products that they are about to order, that they have designed for themselves. And prior to receiving, we are the ones who make the visualizations. And we're doing that with photography assets and also with 3D. And so all of our applications are adapting to mobile phones, to tablets, and also on desktops. But you might notice that the user interface is not that pleasing. The fact is that we have been working without user interface knowledge for a while now, and yeah, we need your help. At the same time, the other challenges that we're facing is that this is not the only thing that we're doing. We are heavily vested into the areas where we're showcasing some content, some digitally created content. So in this case, these are photographies, these are 3D models and layouts. The other way we're working with assets is by showcasing some content. Oh, right. Well, that doesn't really work that nice here. So in 3D spaces, we're allowing the users to visualize things in weird places. And for that, we have some content tools that currently look like this, and we need UI to help that move forward. And other things like allowing the users to browse through assets. This is also something that we're doing, but without any UI people. So please come join us. There's plenty of work for UI. Thanks.
Okay.
Well, yeah, please reach out to me during this night. The offer is gone afterwards.
So, any more announcements for today? No announcements? Okay. So yeah, thank you all for coming. So I think we could start networking and enjoying the last part of the evening, and see you all in the next month. I don't know what day will be next meetup. Probably in usability day. We were just thinking maybe we should come together as this whole world usability day and find out some topics to share about it. So let's see. Thank you.
Nice.